Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is wonderful. It is Thursday. It is our last stream of the week. It is also my last day on the Whole30 diet. You guys, I made it. Oh man, I am kind of stoked. Tomorrow, I don't even know what I'm going to have tomorrow. Good morning, Wendy. How are you? Lovely Wendy's here to stay. We have a mother at last. That was just the first thing that came in my head. That's the song from Peter Pan, for anyone that's not in the know. They sing about, like, Wendy sticks around, and she's like, yeah, I'll be your mom. And that's right. You ever notice, like, Peter Pan had a crush on Wendy, but he also wanted her to be his mom? That's pretty Oedipus heavy. Did you ever notice that? I never noticed that until like right now, just kind of thinking about it. Like, yeah, he was into her, but he was like, you should be my mom. Like, that's all right. I wonder if that was intentional. What's up, Matthew? What's up, Double B? Good evening. It's evening where you're at. Nathan is Peter motherfucking Pan. What's up, Carolyn? We all wanted to be Peter Pan. Nobody wanted to be Captain Hook. That guy was just... all he did was just go around and bother kids. What a fucking freak, right? What's up, Karen? What's up, Steve? Good to see ya. Can't wait to see you soon in Austin, Texas. What's up, Chris? Congratulations on getting into your local DSA, and thank you for pushing for municipal broadband there. It would be awesome if the DSA started getting behind that a little bit more, and I'm sure they will. They've been pretty good about tasks and whatnot, so that's good to see. Let's see. What's up, Chris? Glad you enjoyed Lee. I had a good time chatting with him too. Lee Camp's always a fun guest to have. I was really glad he wanted to stop on and plug his new special, and it was fun to chat with him. That was a fun Wednesday episode. Jordan, I know it's not Monday, but 7 years ago today, La Dispute released their incredible sophomore album, Wildlife. Give it a spin while reading the lyrics if you've never heard of it. Thank you for that. La Dispute, Wildlife is the album. And guys, any day is a good day for a music recommendation. I mean, come on. You guys wanted to talk music with Lee Camp yesterday, which warmed my heart. I was stoked about it. I had no idea he was a Doors guy. We've talked music before, because Lee's girlfriend is a musician. I didn't know that about him. And I'm a pretty big Doors guy. Yeah, we never talked about that before. But anyway. So yeah, I was not to babble on about what I got going on dietary, but I'm a little stoked because it is my last day on the Whole30 diet. I'm so excited, you guys. I'm so excited. I think I'm going to go get pizza tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do, actually. I have a couple different ideas. But I might be getting sandwiches. I might be getting pizza. I'm going to treat myself a little bit. The Whole30 is not an easy diet to do. And even though I know more tricks this time around than I did last time, it's still not the easiest diet to do. So, anyway. It's pretty cool because tomorrow... also, you know, since we're on music and the show is not officially started yet because we're not quite at 30 people, tomorrow I'm going to see Alkaline Trio, which is one of my favorite bands. They're playing here in LA. And I'm going to see Alkaline Trio. My diet's over. It's, all right, we're there, 33. Anyway, I'm stoked for tomorrow is what I'm saying. You guys... welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys tweet me articles, we talk about them, and that's how we build the show. Come join the chaos. We're learning the news. It's morning for me. For some of you, it's afternoon. For some of you, it's evening. But when's a good time to get your news on? Whenever you're able to. That's when it's a good time. It's a good time. I got this new coffee mug. I hope you guys like it. I got a couple new coffee mugs. Me and my girlfriend picked out a few new ones. We decided it was time. We were going shopping for our trip, actually. Our trip was, I'm going to the UK, which, by the way, I'll announce it here first. So I'm going over to England, Ireland, and Scotland. I'm not going over there to tour. I'm going over there mostly for vacation. But I am going to do a couple sets when I'm over there just for fun. London, I'm doing a spot October 17th. That will either be at the Camden Club or the Bill Murray Comedy Club. They have two different locations. I'm not sure which one I'm going to be at yet because I'm just doing a guest set. And what that means is I'm just kind of doing a couple minutes of comedy on somebody else's show. So it's not my show, but if you want to come hang out, please do. So London, October 17th, I'm going to be there. Dublin, October 22nd, I'm going to be at the Comedy Crunch. So I will see you October 22nd. Wait, let me make sure I got that date right. Yeah, because that's a Monday. October 22nd at the Comedy Crunch, I will be in Dublin. And so again, these are just casual shows. I'm just doing a spot. It's not my show. But I would love to meet you guys. Come hang out. I would love to see you. If you're in London or Dublin, please come hang out. And I'm working on getting like a spot in Edinburgh or Manchester too. Still working on it. You know. Anyway. So here's what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to run this theory by you guys. See what you think of it. We all know what happened with Amazon this week, where they are now going to be giving close to living wages. They're bumping it up to $15 an hour. And of course, they're taking other things away. So it's not like this was at all a genuine move by Bezos, but it was something nonetheless. And it's a step in a better direction overall. And, you know, people ask a lot, and I wrestle with this question a lot, and we've wrestled with this question a lot. What do we do next? I am one of those people. I wanted Bernie Sanders to start a new party. I showed up at Convergence, the Draft Bernie conference, to try to convince him it was a good idea to start a new party, because I think that both parties are corrupt beyond repair, and I think we need a brand new party in this country. And I know that's kind of a radical notion in many ways, but you know, when you're in severe times, radical action is necessary. And you know, people disagree with me on that a lot. People are like, Ron, we haven't had a third party come to power since the 1860 and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well, we haven't had wealth disparity to this extent since arguably ancient Egypt. So history repeats itself. Sometimes it takes a long time. So maybe we're overdue. But Bernie Sanders said no. And Tulsi Gabbard said no. So, but what do we do next? What do we do in the immediate future? And I think that answer has kind of presented itself this week. And I want to run this by you. Now, I would like to see a third party still. I'm not giving up hope that that can happen. But in the short term, what do we kind of do to try to get this country set on a better path? And what I think the answer is presenting itself slowly but surely. And I tweeted this out, so you might have seen this already. When Bernie Sanders got behind the folks at Disney, they got the wage increase. When Bernie Sanders got behind Amazon, started putting pressure on Amazon, they got the wage increase. So when you look at what happened post-Great Depression when we got our FDR, there was a very strong labor movement in the country at that time, and they were pissed. There were also communist and socialist parties that were loud. So FDR essentially went to his rich friends and said, you're either going to give a little bit up or you're going to lose everything. Choice is yours. And FDR then instituted Social Security, weekends, and we had a strong labor movement for 40 years. That's what needs to happen again. In the short term, I think that what needs to happen, I think that the answer lies outside of electoral politics. And that's part of the reason why I started a task force for municipal internet in my community. I think what needs to happen next is a rise in labor and a rise of cause-based coalitions. Basically, what Gail McLaughlin did in California, in Richmond, California, that needs to happen everywhere in the country. And that's not an impossible task. Labor needs to rise up and big time. And somebody like a Bernie Sanders leading the way, somebody like a Tulsi Gabbard leading the way, they can do that. That is a doable task. So I think that that's the answer. And I know that there's... And as far as the electoral politics side goes, that could lead to... Some of you guys are saying Labor Party. That could lead to a Labor Party, yes. And I'd be supportive of that. And in the meantime, you know, I'm of the persuasion I support progressives wherever they're at. If they're trying to dem-enter, I applaud them for attempting, and I will support them with my vote. If they're running as Greens, I will support them with my vote. If they're running as independents, I will support them with my vote. You know, basically, if I think you're a good candidate and I think you're the right candidate, I'll vote for you. If I don't think you're a good candidate or the right candidate, I won't vote for you. If I don't think there's anybody I can justify voting for, I will leave that area on the ballot blank. Because, like Eugene Debs said, I'd rather vote for something I want and not get it than vote for something I don't want and get it. That's where I'm at. So, I think that the answer is outside of electoral politics, at least in the short term. And what we should really be focused on is building coalitions in our communities, acting locally, and supporting labor. That's why every strike is important. Every strike is huge. Every strike matters. And that's why other countries have the infection of neoliberalism too. But they don't have it to the extent we do, because when these corporatists get into office, they know they can only get away with so much, because otherwise people are going to strike. Otherwise people are going to protest in the streets. Otherwise people are going to come out for their cause. And they're not going to take it. That's how you get a better country. That's how you get single payer. That's how you get living wages. That's how you get tuition-free college. So that's what I think needs to happen. It's got to happen outside of electoral politics at this point. And it's got to happen from the ground up, from the bottom to the top. And that's why, you know, I'm trying to do my part. I'm working for municipal broadband in my community. Because everything I just described that I think needs to happen, if we don't have a free and open internet, that's going to make every other task I described pretty difficult, if not impossible. Because you know, the internet is our main communication tool now. That's where we're at in our society. So that's what I think needs to happen. And, you know, I've been pondering that for a while, you know, what we need to do. And I feel, you know, when you have such a broken, corrupt system on the electoral politics level, you really need to think outside the box. And now I'm not saying that it's great that more progressives are running for office. I think that's a good thing. I will support them with my vote. But I think that we really got to think outside electoral politics more so than usual. And we got to think progressive coalitions. Now, some of those coalitions can involve running for office on the local level. School board, city council, mayor, etc. But if everybody did what Gail McLaughlin did in Richmond, if that happened, and in fact, you know what? Screw it. Not even in every community in the country, in half the communities in the country, we'd be having a totally different conversation right now. Totally different. If we had a strong labor movement, and a unified labor movement similar to what we had post Great Depression, we'd be having a different conversation right now. We need to have a government that bends the knee to the people, not people that bend the knee to the government. We have the opposite now. And people are encouraging it. You know, on a daily basis, I'm subtly pressured by people on Twitter, by people on different shows to just bend the knee and say, well, the Democrats, lesser than two evils, we got to do it. So, and that's not the way it should work. Let me see what you guys are saying. Do you guys disagree with me? Agree with me? Peter Griffin, big fan of your work on Family Guy, Mr. Griffin. Just think, 11 Democratic senators are still undecided on Kavanaugh. Manchin, Heidkamp, McCaskill, Donnelly, and Coons are leaning yes. Yeah, I mean, again, blue no matter who empowers Trump. These people that are like, well, we gotta stop the Republicans. Okay, well, guess what? Just blindly voting for any Democrat, especially those that are just going to vote with the Republicans, that doesn't stop them. That helps them. Elephants on coke. The lesser than two evil. Okay, your girlfriend's parents like the lesser than two evil. Most people's parents do. Most people's parents do. Chris Wynn, the only thing, an angry and organized working class was the only thing that threatens the 1%. Exactly. 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 We got medicinal pot and legal pot in Massachusetts from our own hard work. That's the only way we got it anywhere. That's the only way we got it. Again, that's another example of a movement succeeding. Disney got their living wages. Amazon got their living wages, at least comparatively speaking. The problem's not solved, but we're at least taking steps in a better direction. Movements are the only way anything has changed in this country in years. The only reason single payer is even on the peripheral in my state of California is because of a nurses' coalition. Not because of anybody in office, but because of the nurses who were lied to and deceived. And then when they protested, they were told to shut the fuck up and get out by the Democratic establishment in California. But that's the only reason single payer is talked about. Not because of anybody in office, because of a coalition of nurses. That's why. The only reason we have medicinal pot in this country is because of all the organizations that have been organized for years in fighting our archaic drug laws. That's why. So movements are the key. These two parties are just two wings of the same bird, Frederick says. Watson says, how did voters in the 1800s start a new party and won election? Was their horse faster than throttled internet? Probably, yeah. I mean, hey, if the ISPs have their way, then yeah, that horse will be a hell of a lot faster. I look at it this way. If we... Let's say a new party started, which I do want to see happen. You know, just because I'm acknowledging the reality that that's not going to happen in 2018 or 2020. That's just the reality. Like that's just, I mean, that's timeline. That's just not possible. I wanted it to happen. I showed up in D.C. to try to make it happen. It didn't. We were all told no. That's just the truth. That's just what happened. As Hillary Clinton would say, that's what happened. But I just look at it. If you had three people running for office and one person goes, here's a bunch of terrible ideas that only benefit the richest among us, which is becoming a smaller and smaller group. Doesn't help any of you, just the richest people among us. And then there's a middle person that goes, those ideas sound terrible. I'm not that person. And then there's a third person that goes, we needed universal health care last week. We need living wages. We need a real jobs program. We got to fix this damn place, and we got to end the wars. You know who would get 0 votes? The person in the middle. No one would vote for that person. Nobody would vote for that person. That's just so painfully obvious. Like even like, you remember in your high school elections, like when you were a kid in school and you had student council elections or whatever, there was always that one person that was just like, I think everything's just fine and I want you to tell me what to do. And that person was a really nice person that everybody liked, but no one voted for them because they just babbled about nothing. They had no ideas. And it's like, why would I reward this by voting for you? Like, I know like this is just sort of not meant to be taken all that seriously, but dude, you're not even trying. And I just say dude because I'm kind of leaning towards my own experience in high school, and I went to an all boys school, so everybody was a dude. But so yeah. Pizza parties for every lunch. I think pizza is what I'm going to go for tomorrow, man. My diet is over. I think I'm going to hit pizza. All right. Let's move on. We got some stuff to talk about. And this first one is from Long Beach. And we got some bad news about the beach, speaking of which. Thailand Bay, made famous by the beach, closed indefinitely. Visitors flocked to Maya Bay on Koh Phi Phi Lay Island after it was in the Leonardo DiCaprio film. Look at how beautiful that place is. Look at that. That's freaking beautiful. One of the world's most popular beaches, made famous by the 2000 film The Beach, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, is to be closed indefinitely to allow it to recover from the damage caused by millions of tourists. The Golden State Sands and crystal blue water, ringed by cliffs on the island, has become one of Thailand's most visited tourist destinations. But it sustained a lot of environmental damage. Thai authorities announced they would be temporarily closing it, and then they made that indefinite. So the pollution is from litter, boats, and sunscreen. Excuse me. It is estimated that more than 80% of the coral around Maya Bay has been destroyed. Damn. And I'll tell you what, that last one kind of bothers me a little bit. Sunscreen. I'll be honest with you guys, I'm not totally aware how dangerous sunscreen is or isn't to the environment, but I mean, I need it. Like, I have to, this is one of those where, I'm sorry, we're going to have to interfere a little bit. I can't go to the beach and not put on sunscreen. Like, I can't. I will get burned mercilessly. So, I mean, I'm as careful as I don't know, but I guess they're saying sunscreen is part of the damage to the core. I'm not aware of sunscreen causing any damage to the environment. That's not to say it doesn't. That's just to say this is my first time hearing anything about that being a culprit. But I feel like those other things are a lot more preventable. Litter, I guess boats, people are going to take their boat out, but they could have some regulations on where you're allowed to go with a motorboat, how often people can use them or something like that. And then litter, no excuse for litter. That's totally preventable. You can, come on, clean up your litter. Sunscreen, that's one thing. I think it's unreasonable to expect people to not use sunscreen. But, maybe they can make, like, more environmentally friendly sunscreen. I'd imagine litter is the bigger culprit, if I had to take a guess. And, I gotta be honest, there aren't many actors that... I'm usually indifferent to most people in the acting world. Like if the movie's good, I like it. If I don't enjoy the movie, I don't enjoy the movie. There's only a handful of actors that I genuinely don't enjoy. And Leonardo DiCaprio is one of them. There's just something about that dude. I just really don't enjoy his acting. And typically when he's in a movie, I won't enjoy it. Like, I didn't like Catch Me If You Can. I didn't like Titanic. I thought Gangs of New York could have been good, but I thought he was just so off-putting in it. I just don't enjoy, and he's one of the most popular actors in the world, so it's totally me. But there's just something about him that I just do not enjoy. I'm sure he's a nice person. Like, it's not a personal thing. I can't get into him as an actor. There's something about that guy. Him, and then the other thing where, like, I know I am totally alone in the world on is Will Ferrell. I don't enjoy Will Ferrell at all. I don't understand what's funny about anything he does. I find him painfully annoying. He just says words weird. Like, that's all he does. He just, like, and I know it's me. Everybody freaking loves him. Some of you guys probably logged off of this stream because I said I don't enjoy Will Ferrell. I'm probably going to get some hate comments later. I mean, usually not on the stream, but then later people see this and they're like, you expressed an opinion? Fuck you. It's like, dude, I'm just saying I don't enjoy. And I know it's me. He's one of the he's a million times more successful as a comedian than I am. A million times. And everybody loves him. I'm saying it's me, but for some reason, I mean, it's a subjective art form. And I don't get it. Like, I don't. Maybe if I understood what was humorous about Will Ferrell, I would sell more tickets. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I don't get it. I don't freaking get it. And then Leonardo DiCaprio. I just don't. There's something about... And hey, maybe if more people felt the way I did and didn't get Leo, less people would have came to this beach and now they wouldn't have had to close. So... But the thing is we have an environmental stewardship obligation here. And I have a feeling that if the problem was only sunscreen and boats, they'd be able to stay open. I have a feeling that litter part, where they mentioned the litter part, I have a feeling that's the biggest culprit in the room, if I had to take a guess. All right, let's move on to something else. This is another one, and this is getting over to Kavanaugh. All of these have been retweeted, by the way. I retweeted them a little bit in advance so that I could hit more topics quicker, because you guys know that I am, when I scroll the timeline, I am somewhere in between molasses and a snail. All right. The fix is in, folks. Though she admits not fully reading it, Susan Collins describes the FBI probe as very thorough. Politicians don't like to read stuff. That's just true. That's why we got the Patriot Act, because nobody frickin' read it, except for Dennis Kucinich. One person read it. The person that we should have elected president in 2008. Dennis Kucinich, that guy. He read it. No one else did. Just Dennis, nobody else. I'd love the senator to explain, so this is a quote from the later in the article. I'd love the senator to explain how a very thorough investigation didn't find time to interview the accuser, the accused, or dozens of corroborating witnesses. Despite admitting to CNN she has still not read the full report, Senator Susan Collins, the Republican from Maine, who remains a potentially crucial swing vote in the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh, emerged from a briefing on Thursday morning and said a report by the FBI on the allegations against the nominee appeared to her the result of a very thorough investigation. Really? Already? It was very thorough? Collins' comments were met with immediate incredulity, especially as the scope of the probe has now been established as objectively limited. There's a lot that investigation didn't cover. Here's a tweet from Johnny Pie. You know what? I don't know why Johnny Pie is his nickname. I have no clue. You know, I know John. He's always been nice to me. I've always been nice to him. Sorry, I'm still waking up. But anyway, I like Johnny. He's a nice guy. I don't know why his nickname's Johnny Pie, though. Maybe nobody actually calls him that. No, people call him that. I don't know why, though. Maybe I should ask him. Maybe it's like one of those things, like I don't have the right to say it. You know, like maybe it's like an inside joke, and I wasn't there for it. But anyway, he says, I'd love Senator Collins to explain how a very thorough investigation didn't find time to interview the accuser, the accused, or dozens of corroborating witnesses. Fair enough. Josh Marshall, editor and publisher of Talking Points Memo, said Collins' reaction only confirms what many believe to be true, was true from the start. The FBI probe, constrained from the start by Republicans in the Senate and the White House, was nothing but an orchestrated whitewash to give fence-sitting lawmakers the cover they needed to ultimately vote yes on Kavanaugh. I guess the FBI is not the friend of the, quote, resistance this week. It changes every day. And yeah, they didn't do a thorough investigation. I mean, people were posting memes where they show somebody doing one of those like pat downs and they're just kind of brushing the person's shoulders and letting them go through, and they're saying that's essentially what the FBI did with Kavanaugh. There's tons of people they didn't interview, tons of folks that were left out. And there's no way it could have been all that thorough because of the amount of time that passed. I mean, it's only been a matter of days, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's been thorough." No, it hasn't. No, we know that they're not a fast-moving organization. It wasn't thorough, and that makes you think this whole thing is just political theater. And we've talked about Kavanaugh. I think Kavanaugh's guilty. I think he's guilty of what he's being accused of. Because when he's asked a direct question, he demonstrates every tell one can demonstrate. And then you can go watch that video. Every single tell that dude demonstrates. He doesn't want an investigation. He doesn't want a polygraph. He doesn't want any of these things, although Dr. Ford has wanted all of them. So I believe her. I don't believe him. And I think that the amount of dishonesty he's displayed, the way he conducts himself, he is not fit to sit on the Supreme Court. And also on the issues, he is absolutely horrible. He is completely horrible. He is another fringe right-wing fanatic. He's against net neutrality. He's against, I mean, this whole thing is a circus. The fact that he's being nominated in the first place is a circus. It proves once again that public opinion is for the birds as far as our oligarchy is concerned. Let me ask you guys, do you think he's going to... I have a feeling he's going to be confirmed, and it's gross. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think he'll be confirmed? Let me go to the chat and get some feedback from you guys. Is he going to be confirmed? I'll give you guys a few minutes to answer that while I get the next article ready. That's a good way to use our time, right? Like, I give you guys a little bit of time to type your answers, right? And then in the meantime, I'll, like, kind of do this. All right, let me get the next article ready. And I just gave it a retweet. It's from Swami. And some protest news from CWOC. That'll be next. And then I guess some of you guys posted, man, I guess sunscreen does affect that. Man, I never knew that. I never knew that. But I guess there's been some studies out there that sunscreen does contribute to the... Oh, that sucks. That really blows. All right, let me see what you guys are saying about... Daniel predicts he does get confirmed. Kava is the yes vote for Gamble versus U.S. That's what Watson says. I'm not familiar directly with what that refers to, but, you know. Cappuccino conservative, Kavanaugh is getting confirmed because we lost our standards decades ago. I agree. Let's see. The Dems are good for nothing, Jilly says. I agree. Elephants on Coke, he's getting approved. Let's see. They will confirm him. All right, so no one's saying that he's not going to get confirmed. I was hoping there was someone that thought he would be. Just for conversation's sake. Like someone's going to be like, they're going to stop him. Tom Perez is going to change his mind and say that, you know. Yeah, no one's of the persuasion that this isn't just kind of bullshit and they're gonna just confirm this guy. And he's a terrible choice for every reason. He's a terrible choice on the issues. He's a terrible choice morally. He's a terrible choice. Yeah. Ugh. All right. Well, if anybody thinks he will be stopped, let me know. And we'll go to it. All right. So, moving on.org. Sanders to launch new plan to break up Wall Street giants, including Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan. Senator Bernie Sanders on Wednesday unveiled legislation that would place a hard cap on the size of financial institutions, a proposal that would splinter Wall Street's biggest firms in an effort to ward off future taxpayer bailouts. Now, of course, this measure, as the article points out, this measure is dead on arrival with a Republican Congress and Trump in office. And even if the current Democratic Party were to take control of government, it would face a difficult path. Because most of the Democrats are conservative. That it doesn't say that in the article, but instead it's putting a flower on that. The party's moderates. If you're a moderate by today's political standards, it's because you're conservative. That's definitionally what you are. You're a conservative. So, but again, this is Sanders focusing on issues and causes and organizing the people. And this is a good thing. It's a good thing he's doing this. And what you're doing is you're forcing everybody in the political sphere, and especially those, Democrats that are just enabling Republicans, the assistants, if you will, you're forcing them to either get on board with you and give you the votes, or you're forcing them to take off their sheep mask to reveal the wolf underneath. Somebody's got to do it. Bernie's the only one that can. Or not the only one, but he's among the few that can. He's one of the few in that position to put this legislation in, to get the coverage for it. And this needs to continue. It just does. Is Elizabeth Warren going to get behind this? Let me see if the article says anything. Elizabeth Warren always talks about the banks. I'm trying to skim this thing to see. I hope Elizabeth Warren's behind this. She should be. I guess we'll find out in time. I don't see anything here in the article. That's not to say she isn't. I'm not finding anything in this specific article. We don't have time to read the entire thing cover to cover. So it's good this legislation is out there. It does help us that this legislation is out there, even though it has no chance in the short term of passing. Let's see. Let's move on. And here is some direct protest news. Dozens of Teamsters and their supporters were arrested while protesting near the ports of LA and Long Beach. This is why. All right. The Teamsters wrapped up 3 days of protesting unfair treatment of port truck drivers by doing something on Wednesday, October 3rd, that they said has never been done in the union's 115-year history. They got arrested intentionally. Over the past 3 days, hundreds of Teamsters picketed at and near marine terminals, rail yards, warehouses, and distribution centers across Southern California, including those that support the Los Angeles and Long Beach ports, as a way to protest what they say is the misclassification of workers as independent contractors rather than employees. Workers have long argued that being classified as contractors robs them of benefits such as vacation time, sick pay, and workers' compensation. Typically, that's what it does. Absolutely. It labels you a contractor. Also, the other thing that this doesn't mention, so this specifically, where it says, workers have long argued that being classified as contractors robs them of benefits such as vacation time, sick pay, and workers' compensations. That's exactly what it does. What it also does is that when something happens, it takes the blame away from the company and puts the blame where? Puts the blame here. That's what happens. When you're working in logistics, especially if you're maybe transporting something very delicate, like, I don't know, fracking fluid or something like that. If you are designated a contractor, well, if something goes wrong, guess who they're going to have an easy time blaming? They're going to say, that's not the company's fault, that's a contractor's fault, and that contractor, i.e. the worker, is no longer with us. So that's another thing that the contractor designation does. It also is able to put the blame on the worker instead of the company. So if this worker were to have an accident, say maybe because they're being overworked, maybe because the routes that they have to keep up are impossible to keep up unless they cook the books. And that happens in the logistics industry every day. Ask anyone that's in it. That happens every day. And Amazon is not the only. Of course, Amazon is a big culprit, but Walmart is also a culprit. Pretty much all these companies are culprits. They all do it because they can all get away with it. So on Wednesday afternoon, the pickets culminated their efforts to drum up publicity and support. They marched from Wilmington Waterfront Park to the corner of Figueroa Street and John S. Gibson Boulevard. And they blocked the 110 freeway on-ramp. Los Angeles police officers ordered them to leave. When they refused, the officers arrested them one at a time. Good for them. Good for them. This is what needs to happen. This is what needs to happen. Because I know that I don't know how to unroll a nationwide strike. That's far beyond me. That's far beyond anyone here. That's far beyond any one person, really. I mean, unless that one person has the clout of Bernie Sanders or bigger. But we got to figure out a way to make it happen. I mean, that's what needs to happen. And that's very hard because we don't have an organized, like a mass organized labor movement. We don't have that. We don't have, we don't really have the, I mean, a lot of people, they're working 2 and 3 jobs just to survive. It's not easy for them to go on strike when they're living paycheck to paycheck. It's almost impossible. And that's by design. That's by design. And we all know that. You know, when we talk about this, sometimes people shame me because they're like, well, you wouldn't have to go on strike. Yeah, I know that. I'm saying I want to help out and be a communication vessel. And they're like, well, maybe if you had a job that warranted going on strike. It's like, okay, so you're shaming me instead of shaming the system that got us to this point. I'm like, so we need a massive strike somehow. And I support those workers in Los Angeles and Long Beach. They're doing the right thing. They're doing a good thing. And they're right. I mean, the way that logistics workers are treated in this country is absolutely disgusting. And I'm glad they're doing something about it. I'm really glad they're doing something about it. So thank you for sharing that, Seawalk. I love me some striking news. And I think someone else sent some striking news too. And I can't find it, and I apologize for that, but I cannot find it. Let me try to look for it here for a second. And I only have a second because we got to move on. Somebody tweeted something about Abdul Al-Sayed and how he got arrested at a thing recently. And I'm trying, you know, if that was you, please retweet it, because I'm trying to find it, because I really wanted to cover today and I can't find it. Oh, here we go. It was from Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. And that wasn't your fault that I couldn't find it. That was my fault, because it was earlier than I realized. But I wanted to make sure we got to it today. So instead of bookmarking it like a normal human being, I just clumsily looked for it. Sorry about that, y'all, but I really wanted to make sure we got to this. So here is some more protest news. Abdul Al-Sayed, Rashida Tlaib, among the 18 arrested at the Fight for 15 rally in Detroit. Former gubernatorial candidate Abdul Al-Sayed and future 13th District Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, I know I'm mispronouncing that name, and I apologize, were among 18 people cited for disorderly conduct at a rally today by Detroit fast food and other workers. Also, there's a big protest planned in Chicago on behalf of fast food workers with the Poor People's Campaign and the Fight for 15. That is going on today in Chicago. So if you're in Chicago, do it to it. The demonstrators were taken into custody outside the McDonald's on Woodward in Detroit's Midtown, where about 400 people gathered to demand the company and others to allow workers to unionize. We've got people who are working 40-hour weeks and can't afford basic things like car insurance, a car, access to housing, and water, and I just don't believe that we can advocate for work when work doesn't pay, and so we have to make sure work pays, Al-Sayed said from the window of a Detroit police prison bus. I don't believe anyone should have to go working 40 hours without making a fair wage. Isn't it sad we have to say this? In the richest country in the world. Isn't it sad that we have to have the message, if you are working 40 hours a week at an honest job, it doesn't matter what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing. You deserve to make a living wage. You deserve to survive. It doesn't matter what you're doing. If it's an honest job and you're working 40 hours a week, you deserve to make a living wage. It's unbelievable we need to say that. It's unbelievable that that's not general consensus. And why isn't it general consensus? Because people have been conditioned to turn against each other. Workers have been conditioned to turn against each other. You see these memes, well, an EMT only makes $15 an hour. You're telling me that somebody that works in fast food should make the same amount that an EMT makes? You're telling me that? First of all, working in fast food, working in any food, is incredibly hard. That's incredibly hard work. So yes, that person should make a living wage. They should make at least $15 an hour. Underline the at least part. And an EMT should be paid a fuckload more. When people make that point, you're not making the point that you're pointing out the fact that EMTs are underpaid. I think, is it fair to say that I think an EMT person, so, and this isn't to bash fast food workers at all, because I think an EMT should be making more than I make. A lot more than I make. They don't. They should. And they should make more than a fast food. I think that's fine. Because when you're an EMT, you have to save lives. So yeah, I think it's fair that somebody who is an EMT should be compensated very well. They are grossly underpaid. And you can find the meme I'm talking about, and if you find it, feel free to tweet it at me. I'll bring it up real quick. Where they have an EMT, and they're saying, an EMT where you're saying somebody that flips burgers should get paid the same. First of all, there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers, A. And by the way, if you've ever worked in fast food, you can tell anybody, and I never have, but I know a lot of people that have, there's a lot more involved than flipping burgers, first of all. So that's a very condescending way to put it in the first place. And second of all, yes, that person should get paid a living wage, and an EMT should be making a fuckload more than $15 an hour. I mean, that meme is just so condescending and misleading on so many levels, and missing the point by a mile. Hey, because of our broken system, here's a group of people that are grossly underpaid for what they do. So we should demonize other workers, right? No, we should say everyone should get living wages. And that EMT should be getting even more. An EMT should be making way more money than they make typically. It's unbelievable how underpaid they are. But the solution is not, let's demonize other workers. The solution is, they should get more too. Anyway, I know I'm really preaching to the choir and kind of over-harping the point, but that one just bothers me. There's just something about that one that really pisses me off. All right, let's finish off this article, and then I'll go to the chat to end it. Al Saeed was among a group sitting at a table set up on the street that police say refused to leave the area. Deputy Police Chief Elvin Barron said they would be issued citation for disorderly conduct. The Detroit rally and a separate morning rally in Flint were part of a day-long strike by fast food workers at McDonald's, Burger King's, and Wendy's. Red shirts worn by the demonstrators included a list of demands: $15 minimum wage, good union jobs, healthcare for all, and safety and justice for our neighborhood. You don't deserve anything less than better working conditions, than not having to live in poverty. You can earn $15. These corporations are making billions off our backs. Don't you ever think that you're not allowed to ask for more. That's from Tlaib. And again, I apologize that I'm mispronouncing their name, because I know I am. So, to end the week on a little optimism, people are protesting, people are striking, and we are seeing some results. And in the short term, that's the only way change is going to happen. That is the only way. Or at the very least, the main way that change is going to happen. So I'm glad to see stuff like this. It makes me a little more optimistic, and I want to support it the best that I can. I was sent a few press releases today, or earlier this week, and I know that over in Chicago, the Fight for 15 and the Poor People's Campaign are protesting for fast food workers' rights. And you can find the Poor People's Campaign online. Poor People's Campaign, the Fight for 15. And if you're able to, I recommend getting involved with those movements. Because again, the solution I see to kind of reiterate what we started with, the theme for today's show, we gotta start progressive coalitions similar to what Gail McLaughlin did. We have to have cause-based initiatives that are loud, and we have to have a rise in labor, because that's the only way we're going to get our next FDR. Maybe it's going to be Bernie, maybe it's going to be somebody else, I don't know. But that's the only way we're going to get our next FDR. Because FDR wouldn't have done what he did if he didn't have all this pressure from all those groups. If he didn't have that pressure from labor, from the communist and socialist parties that used to exist in this country before McCarthyism stamped them out. That's why it's good what the DSA is doing. And they're taking on causes too. They're not just focused on electoral politics. They're focused on other stuff too. So let me see what you guys are saying. I'll take some questions. We can talk about general stuff to end the show. Swami, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. I appreciate it. Watson, thank you very much. You explained the Gamble versus U.S. is on the SCOTUS October docket. It stops states from bringing charge of felines. I think you're meaning to say felonies there, but you typed felines. Maybe you're using talk to text or something. I want to say that means felonies. Charge of felonies pardoned by a president. So yeah, Kavanaugh yes vote is payola. Yeah, felons pardoned. All right. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Swami, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution and the thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. Oh, and Prybite says that Earth-friendly sunscreen info is available at ewg.org/sunscreen. I will look into that, and I will try. I didn't know. I mean, I knew sunscreen had some effect, but I didn't realize it was, like, significant. But some people were sending articles about what it actually does to coral, and yeah, I'll try to make sure I'll look into some Earth-friendly sunscreen, because I can't not use sunscreen. That's not... I wish I didn't have to. Man, I wish I didn't have to. I think pretty much everyone has to. It's just a matter of degree, and I am like 50 SPF degree. I think anything above 50 is just bullshit marketing, by the way. I think once you pass 50, it's just bullshit marketing. Some people say that all the SPFs are bullshit. My skin says otherwise. So my skin says otherwise. But I think after 50, it's just kind of bullshit. I'm not basing that off of any kind of science, other than my own skin burning. But, you know. AKA Mr. Bungle, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. You and Jimmy say when the market is up, then labor is getting shit on. Do you know where I can get info on this to present to people I repeat it to? I don't know specifically what you're referring to. When the market is up, then labor is getting shit on. What do you mean exactly? Do you mean how, like, labor is demonized in the press, or how I don't know what specifically you're referring to. I don't recall saying those exact words at any point. But, you know, if you can email me some more specifics, I'll you know, send you whatever I can. Let's see what you guys are saying. Zinc oxide, Ron. Surfers know best. Yeah, you know, I've heard that before. I've never tried it myself, because it looks a little intimidating. I'm a blonde, Irish, and German. Lobster is my shade of tan. Me too. I'm not Irish or German. I'm neither of those two things, but lobster is also my shade of tan. Jilly, hats and umbrellas don't pollute. Doesn't help me when I'm in the water, Jilly. You know, I guess I could stop swimming, but that kind of seems a bit much. Maybe someone else. Where are you? I'm in the United States. Where are you? Let's see. What else are you guys saying? EMT saved lives. They should get more by definition. Yeah, I agree with that. They are grossly underpaid. It's disgusting how much they're underpaid. And it's a shame that, you know, some conservative groups on the internet use them as a way to demonize other workers. That makes it so much more gross. Cappuccino Conservative, I work in a production warehouse for $10.10 an hour. That's hard work. Warehouse work is very, very hard. I can speak from experience there. I used to work in a warehouse. It's very hard work. It's one of the few jobs I've ever had that I actually didn't mind, because I worked in a book warehouse. So whenever we didn't have shipments in, I could just read for free. Like, I would just... They had all kinds of books there, so I would just, like, take books I wanted to read and just read. You know, I didn't steal the book. I would leave it there and put it back when I was done. But, yeah. Redneckonomics points out that the rich people get richer by stealing from us. Yeah, that's true. Worker co-ops are the way to go, Pam Ryan says. I agree. Check out Gordon Demick Show, Thomas says. Check out the Gordon Demick Show on YouTube. You know, so I like Gordon. I've checked out a few of his clips. And I actually emailed him, because I'm coming to the UK later this month, and I hope to see some of you guys. Again, October 17th, I'm doing a spot in London. As soon as I know all the details, I will tweet it out. And October 22nd, I will be at the Comedy Crunch in Dublin. If I have any Irish or English folks out there, come hang out. I'm just doing a guest spot. It's not my show, but I'm going to be doing a set, and it would be awesome to meet you guys. And I hope to do a proper tour in the area soon. But I will be there on vacation with my girlfriend, and I'm doing a couple spots in the area. But anyway, I didn't realize Gordon wasn't a comedian. I just thought he was. Which is, like, irresponsible on my part. I shouldn't assume that just because someone makes, videos kind of in the vein of, and gets lumped into means they're a comic. Because, I mean, actually most people aren't. Like most people that make videos aren't. I mean, a lot are, but a lot aren't. So anyway, I don't know why I thought Gordon... I had no reason to think he was a comic. I just assumed he was for no reason, is my point. And I was like, hey, man, can you help me get a couple spots? And he messaged me back, and he's like, hey, buddy, I have no idea what the fuck you're asking me for. But, I mean, he didn't say it like that. He said it very nice. But yeah. Anyway, I have done warehouse work, natural progressive, also warehouse work. Yeah. Again, I really liked having the books, but A1 and 2, age, question mark, I have been 27 since the year 1933. Elephants on Coke, which again, needs to be a band. Someone's got to start a band and call it Elephants on Coke, and unless Elephants on Coke has already done it. I wish I had a band. I got to start one. I got to just get together with a drummer and a bassist. And we just got to do some fun punk covers, like a couple times a year, just for shits and giggles. But anyway, Elephants on Coke wants to know, best UK punk band? That's hard. Tie between Subhumans and The Damned. I love both those bands. I like The Damned a little better if I had to pick than the Subhumans. I saw The Damned live a couple years ago. They are so good live. The Damned are so good live. And I was stoked to see them. They were even better than I expected, though. They're fantastic live. But, man, that's a tough question, Elephants on Coke. And my answer here is going to have to be very vanilla. But, I mean, Joe Strummer changed my freaking life. I'm going to have to go with The Clash. I'm a big Clash fan. I know that is the most... that is such a standard answer. But I gotta go with The Clash. I really do. So, yeah. It's gotta be a band. Elephants on Coke, that is. Guys, we are totally out of time. Thank you so much for participating this week and for being here. The podcast comes out tomorrow. And please subscribe to that podcast, too, by the way. You can get it over at Stitcher, over on iTunes. It's just the Get Your News On With Ron podcast. What I do is on Fridays, I do a podcast of some of the best segments from the week. So if you missed anything this week, you can check it out on the podcast. Lee Camp is going to be the guest on this week's podcast, so you'll hear some parts from that interview if you missed it. Yeah, want to support this show on the sustainability end, patreon.com/Ron Placone. If you're able to afford an extra $1 a month or a little bit like that, want to support this show, please do consider doing so. You'll get my album delivered to your inbox when it comes out in November, and you're going to get all kinds of exclusive content twice a week. And I'm real close to a new goal. So, yeah, there's that. Tour dates! November 2nd, Sacramento, California. Get your tickets now. We're running out of them. San Francisco, California, November 3rd. Get your tickets now. We're running out of them. Just added November 4th, Santa Barbara, California. Details on that coming very, 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 very soon. November 10th. It took me a second there. November 10th, Austin, Texas. Get tickets now. November 23rd, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Get tickets now. RonPlacone.com for all those tickets. In January, Graham Elwood and I are coming to Florida. We just confirmed the run. January 9th, we're going to be in Gainesville, Florida. Tickets for that are available now. January 10th, Miami, we're coming. Tickets not available yet, but they're coming soon. Hold tight, but we are coming to Miami January 10th. January 11th, Orlando, Florida. Tickets are available for that now. Grab them. January 12th, Jacksonville, Florida. Tickets will be available very, very soon. We just confirmed that one as well. Can't wait to see you in January, Florida. And any more tour dates, you guys will be the first to hear them. Thank you so much for an amazing week. You guys are the greatest. I love you very much. This show would not be possible without you. Have a fantastic weekend. I will see you on Monday for Music Monday, and I can't wait for it. And guys, the whole 30 is over when I wake up tomorrow morning. Tweet me some food suggestions. What should I eat? I want to eat everything. That's what I want to eat, everything. Can't do that. What should I do? Pizza? Indian? Pasta? What do you guys think? Maybe I'll put out a poll. Because I can't decide. Have a great weekend, guys. I love you very much. Thanks for making this show possible.